Hey guys, and welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be actually doing any tutorials. In fact, we're not even going to be opening any command blocks. But one of the questions I kind of get a lot is like, how did I get so good at commands? Is there any like tips or tricks or anything like that? So I just kind of wanted to go through how I learned to be as good as commands as I am. Some of the stuff that I kind of learned, the processes that I went through, that like I can kind of recommend that you guys should do as well as some like resources that are going to be able to kind of help you learn a little bit more. So the way that I started off doing commands is watching tutorials. Uh, okay. I started watching tutorials. If you guys, probably most of you wouldn't know this, depending on how long you've been watching like Minecraft tutorials and whatnot. There used to be a series called One Command Block Creations, which basically you could pretty much just copy and paste a thing into your world, and it would more or less give you a full mod's worth of things with just commands, no downloads or anything. And that's what originally got me into commands. Just kind of following these tutorials, entirely things that other people created that I didn't really know what was going on. I was just kind of messing around with what was there. And I did this for actually a little while just because there's some really cool stuff out there. I think log.zip, I think he's still around, was like one of the main guys that I watched those videos for. But yeah, basically, I just kind of started doing that. And then as I got a little bit more into it, I started like kind of paying attention, actually looking through the code and kind of noticing some things. So for instance, maybe there's a pair of boots that would give you a boost of speed, but it was only speed 3. So I kind of recognized, okay, well, this says speed 3. I could bump that up. I could go through the code, change it to speed 5, make it a little bit more fun, right? So yeah, one of the really interesting things that I recommend, and I do say this in a lot of my videos, is I really, really want you guys to experiment with these things. I'm gonna die. I really want you guys to experiment with these things. You know, when you take one of my tutorials or, someone else's tutorials, I'm not picky, but if you do that, try to go through, and you probably won't be able to mess around with everything. There's a lot that you guys probably won't understand starting out, but just kind of mess around. If there's numbers, maybe tweak the numbers a little bit, see what happens. Um, it really is one of the best ways to start actually learning how the commands work. After you get a little bit more experience with that, one of the things you can do is just kind of experiment on your own. Like I remember one of the very first creations that I made was a thing that basically made snowballs summon TNT from the sky. I was really proud of that. And it was only like one command, but I figured this command out and I did it all by myself. I was really excited about that. It was a really cool command for me. And that brings me to my next point, which is you actually got to show off. Like, whether it's your friends, whether it's, maybe your parents or whatever, find someone that you can show off that's going to be kind of impressed. If you guys are looking for a spot, I'm going to shamelessly plug my Discord. There will be a link in the description, as there always is. Join my Discord. We have a specific channel just for showing off things. And I really, once again, just highly recommend it. But I mean, even still, just whether it's friends, whether it's just random people that you meet online, show off. It's really good for motivation just to be able to show off the things that you've been working on. From there, what I started doing is I just work on small projects. For instance, I'd make some kind of mini game. I don't remember any specific ones that I made, but I used to make like, instead of just like a little thing where it's just like a snowball that summons TNT, it's this like big project that I can do. And it was like some sort of mini game, something like that. So from there, once again, you want to show off these small projects. Like you kind of want to like, as you're experimenting, start doing more and more. Start doing more and more as you're getting like a little bit better with commands. You'll know kind of how to do more. And just the more you know, like the more you can do, the more you can experiment with. So I really, really recommend that you guys start with small projects, then start getting bigger. One of the biggest things for me in terms of actually learning commands was I made realms. I made basically servers where anybody could join them. They were like usually mini games, something more than that sometimes. Um, I still enjoy and like I still have really fond memories of those realms. I know some of my viewers are, people who used to play my realms, not many anymore though. I've also met some really good people through the process of making those bigger projects, and it's just not only is it a great way to kind of build community if you make those kind of bigger projects that you share, get to know new people, that kind of thing. But it really is one of the best ways to actually learn how to do commands, and it also helps you really stay motivated because bigger projects, like if you're making a server, let's just say I did. Like I remember my very first realm was basically a pirate server where you could go around on a boat, you would have like different adventures. It wasn't really that detailed. I was still really new to commands at that time. It was really impressive for me at the time. Looking back on it, it's really bad, but you know, I'm not too upset about it. But anyways, for me, that was a big part of my getting used to commands as well as getting to know people in that kind of area. And just because it's a project instead of just like a small little creation thing, you get to know more than maybe what you were intending. So, for example, when I was making the pirate thing, I really liked making abilities. That was like my favorite thing to make. But because I'm making this whole project, I can't just make abilities. I have to do other things involved with that as well. You know, when it comes to abilities, you want to have, well, you need activities to do the abilities. You need mobs, and my game crashed. Um, Okay, I'm gonna edit this out. Okay, my game just randomly crashed and I'm back at the end of the boss fight. Let's go in again real quick. As I was saying, so I did the world, like these realms are a very big thing for me, and it also helped me learn like a bunch of different things. I didn't get the sword. Oh, that's weird. My game just crashed. Anyways, but it was a really good informative process because I'd be learning more than just maybe what I had intended to do. And because it's a full project with a lot of moving parts, it kind of brings you into some areas that you wouldn't expect and really helps you learn a lot more. And basically, yeah, the realms for me, I just kind of kept making realms. I got a lot better at commands as I'm doing these realms. And that was really kind of the biggest learning curve overall for me. And for you guys, that's kind of like that was more or less my learning process was starting off small, editing other stuff, kind of experimenting with my own, then eventually getting bigger and bigger into the stuff that I'm making on my own, like without the help of a tutorial or anything. And throughout the whole process, I really do recommend just show off what you have. It's really good for motivation. I promise you. It's really good to help to like be able to show off and just be proud of the things that you made. Beyond that, I just kind of have that's like I said, that's kind of the process of how I got to where I am. And I recommend just trying to do as much of that as you can, but then I also have some other tips that kind of go along with it, not necessarily a process, but just some kind of general tips that helped me along the way. Ooh, lightning. So the first one is probably the strangest of the tips that I have, which is be lazy. And I know that sounds weird. I know you would think that being lazy is actually a bad thing generally, and I would agree. Most of the time it is a bad thing. Oh my gosh, they do so much damage. I'm gonna fly over there and set my spawn point. Yeah, but I know that sounds weird. I know it sounds like, why would you want to be lazy? I'm actually gonna do something else. Why would you want to be lazy? That doesn't sound like a very good way to learn. When it comes to this type of thing, when we're talking about like programming and learning these commands, there's a lot of different ways you can get to the same end result. One of the advantages, per se, to being lazy in your approach is that you actually get more efficient. Because you might have an idea on how to do something and be like, man, that's a good idea, but it's going to take a while. That kind of leads you to the place of maybe there's a better way to do it. And when I say be lazy, I don't mean give up. I think those are two very different things. I mean be lazy and try to improve, find better ways to be doing things all the time. So yeah, it's like I said, my first of this just generic tips is to be lazy, which sounds like a weird tip. I'm aware. That's the point. It is a weird tip. Be lazy. Um, my second tip, I feel like is the most obvious one. Have fun. I mean, you guys aren't doing this for a job. I do for a job, but you know, most of you guys don't do this for a job. Most of you guys are just doing this for fun. And one of the things that you might run into, especially if you're working, once you get more into like the projects, like so you're making a server and you get to a point where it's really not fun anymore, but you feel like you need to keep going. And this kind of ties into my next point. It's okay to quit. Like you guys are just doing this for fun. You're just trying to learn and gain new knowledge. If you quit, it's not the end of the world, I promise you. Like if you abandon a project partway through, it's not that bad because you're just having fun. If you're not feeling inspired on it, honestly, one of the worst things you can do is to keep going, because there's a certain point where if you just kind of keep going, even though you're really not having fun with what you're doing, you're actually going to end up hurting yourself in the end, because then you're going to not really enjoy doing anything with commands anymore, and you're probably just going to start avoiding it more and more. So I really do recommend, if you get to a point where you are not actually having fun with the stuff that you're working on, just stop. It doesn't have to mean you stop forever. It might. It might mean that you stop forever. It depends on kind of how you want to go about things. We certainly don't have to stop forever. But if you're not having fun with the thing that you're working on, don't keep doing it, because you're actually going to hurt yourself in the long run. Now, this is obviously true for like homework or personal things, like, your actual jobs, that kind of stuff. This is like, for fun projects is what we're talking about here. But yeah, just, I really do recommend, if you're not having fun, just take a break. Sometimes you're going to quit the project. Sometimes just take a break. And the last 2 points are also kind of intertwined. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You might be wondering where to ask questions. Yes, you can do the comment section. I'm once again going to shamelessly plug the fact that I have a Discord, and that you should be on that Discord, because we have a lot of good people that will help you out with information and stuff. So don't be afraid to ask questions. However, and this is actually one of the points that I'm going to stress the most, you need to try and figure it out first. I've been doing commands for a long time. I've had lots of people talk to me, ask me questions, ask for help, that kind of stuff. And one of the issues that I run into, the people that I find don't actually ever learn anything, is that they don't try to figure it out on their own. And what I mean is, like, as soon as they get to a project, as soon as they get to a point where they don't know what to do, they immediately go ask somebody. Immediately. It's not good. You're not going to learn anything that way. The best way to learn is to try and figure things out for yourself. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit harder, and sometimes you're going to get really frustrated. Now, if you get to the point where you're really, really frustrated, you like are absolutely lost, you've been trying on it for a while, you haven't been able to figure something out, then that's where you need to ask for help, right? But don't ask for help right away. You really, if you want to actually learn, I promise you, asking for someone to figure it out for you right away, you're not going to learn anything that way. You're actually going to learn when you get stuck on these problems, but you're determined enough to actually fight through it all the way and come out on the other side knowing more than what you did before. So that kind of wraps up my point. I know it's kind of a different video. It's kind of an unscripted, little bit of a rambly video, as well as my game crashing in the middle, and I don't feel like doing a lot of editing on this one. But yeah, I hope this helps some of you guys who are new to commands, especially. If you guys have any questions, like I said, let me know in the comments. Join the Discord. It's a really good place. A lot you guys can learn from the Discord. Hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye.